G'day, I'm Stu Mack. We're talking about change fitness and the process of change. I'm an accredited exercise physiologist, but I style myself as a behavioural exercise physiologist because I'm in the business of helping people change their behaviours. I'm in the business of helping people discover ways to remove or get around the barriers to them creating the change that they want in their life. So I'm a behavioural exercise physiologist. It's not enough to say you just need to do exercise, because exercise is part of a healthy, well-balanced life, right? So many people exercise and they're unhealthy. And just like so many people who don't exercise are unhealthy. So I try and help people manage their behaviours and change them in ways that are meaningful for them and that are sustainable, that create wonderful transformations in the future. Now, perhaps you're in a place where change hasn't been on the table until recently, right? Where you haven't thought about change in your own life until very recently. For a lot of us in the COVID situation around the world, the change has been thrust upon us in ways that we don't want to have to deal with, but we must. And that's not pleasant in a lot of cases. But people are doing it. They're adapting. Because sometimes we never realised we needed to adapt. We never realised there was even a need to change anything in our life. And yet now we have. We're doing video calls all the time. We're having meetings at home. We're working from home. Kids are being schooled at home. All this stuff is happening. Things that we never realised could happen, changes have occurred. We never even realised that they were possible sometimes. And so we've moved from pre-contemplation to not being aware of the need to change to contemplating the changes. How can I do this differently? How can I thrive in the midst of a crazy world when I'm in self-isolation? When my family and I aren't allowed out because of curfew here in Melbourne after 8 o'clock? How do we change our life? All of a sudden we're contemplating change. And contemplation is really important. It's where you count the cost of keeping the status quo and you count the cost of changing the status quo. In the contemplation stage, you're saying, I see that there could be the need for change. How much is it going to cost? Am I willing to pay that cost? How much is it going to cost not to change, and how much is it going to cost to change? What are the benefits of changing, and what are the benefits of not changing? You see, until we get a really honest view of both of those things, we may make decisions that we can't sustain. So when a person moves through this contemplation stage of change, the next stage along, what happens is they start to process what's required of them. What are the resources I need? How much is it going to cost me in time, in money, in relationships? What things will I need to get rid of? What new things will I need to do? What things will I need to learn? A lot of people, you see, they talk about making change, and they talk about it a lot. They talk about it for years. Oh yeah, I really need to change that habit. I really need to do something about that. I really need to start exercising. And gee, it's easy to get frustrated when you hear someone doing that, especially if you're a person who likes to change, who feels that, well, if you want to do it, you just do it. Why don't you just do it? But the fact is that everyone goes through this process of contemplating. Some people, they've just got a bit more stuff they have to mull through. It's entirely possible to see the need for change in your life and to understand the costs of change, but to lack the knowledge of how to meet those costs, how to meet the demands of change and pay them. This could create a kind of paralysis for some people, I imagine, couldn't it? You're in this space where you see that there is the need to change, but you don't quite know how you can apply the process of change. You go, I need to do this, it's going to cost me this much, but I just haven't quite got the knowledge for how to do it. And this is a blatant marketing plug. I did the personal change fitness program a few years ago, which I now coach people through. And I was stuck in a space of deep paralysis, chronic fatigue syndrome, bipolar stuff, a whole bunch of things going on in my life, undiagnosed ADD, a whole bunch of things, unmanaged, and the change process, the change fitness process, helped me to assess what the costs and benefits are and to begin the process of changing myself. basically I started to properly assess the demands of change, to have a look at the value of change and the value of not changing, because the decision not to change is a decision to stay the same. Not making a decision is basically making the decision not to change. So learning why I would do that and assessing what the costs and the benefits are, that's a big part of contemplation. Then the challenge for me, once I'd established that, hey, you know what, I am successful in change in certain areas. I'm very successful at rehabilitating my body physically. I'm very successful at learning new martial skills. I'm very successful at integrating that stuff into my life, at doing flexibility stuff, at learning how the body functions. I'm really successful at these areas. So why am I not successful in other areas? Then I could begin to integrate, go, well, okay, I'm successful in this area. How can I bring my strengths at change in this area across to these areas where I'm not good at change? And that's the process of change. It's a process. It's a multitude of events that occur, and you can be pre-contemplating change in an area here. You can be contemplating change in another area. You can be actioning change in this area over here. All these things come together because change is not a single event. It's a multitude of events. They may occur in an instant, and they may occur over time. But we can never know when that change will occur. And I wonder, in what ways have you been contemplating change? And in what ways can you change today? This is Stu Max signing off. If you like the video, hit like. If you want to hear more stuff like this, subscribe. Thanks heaps.